What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another late night in the BrewLab with me, Lone Fox, your Brewmaster-in-Chief. And tonight, in the BrewLab, as we continue on this little mini-series of forgotten tribes, forgotten mechanics, forgotten archetypes, I'd like to bring you one of the tribes that, of late, has definitely seen the least play. And unfortunately, that is the case, because it was definitely the one that I was the most excited about when we were receiving spoilers for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. I am, of course, talking about Samurais, which probably after Ninjas is the deck that you see the least of on the ladder on a regular basis. It's almost none of the cards even from it ended up in any of the other decks. So yeah, I think perfect for this little mini series. And while I'm at it, I'd just like to announce that this is probably the end of this little mini series. It's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed playing with some of these older brews, or not particularly top tier decks, just trying to see if we can give them one last little whirl before rotation. But I think starting the day after tomorrow, I'll be reverting back to more traditional content, trying to build some more competitive decks and actually playing them on the ladder. So that announcement out of the way, without further ado, let's jump into tonight's brew. Boros Samurais, I'm calling it Samurai Jack. This was initially a Mardu deck, and I'd splashed a bit of black to have a couple of copies of Isshin in the deck. But now, I've been playtesting this one for a good couple of weeks now, I've reverted back to Boros. I just found myself having less mana problems, and yes, Isshin is really nice, but it was just a tough splash. So Boros seems to be the better option, at least as far as I'm concerned. So, taking it from the top, as I always do, we start off with a full play set of the Reinforced Ronin, which is, of course, also a Samurai. So, before we dive into the rest of the deck, the Samurai mechanic. Basically, you want to be attacking with one of your Samurais, because all of these cards say, whenever a Samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, then things happen. So, the Reinforced Ronin is a perfect one-drop in the deck. There's no real other Samurais that are decent enough one-drops, and this one is a really good one. I mean, you get to start swinging in for 2 damage straight away with haste, and then eventually you can channel, discard it, and draw a card. So a little bit of card advantage as well, which I find fantastic. Another really good thing to mention with regards to the Reinforced Ronin is that it is a 1-mana spell, and once you have your Showdown of the Skalds on Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, you want to be casting multiple spells every turn so that you can put multiple +1/+1 counters on whichever it is that you target that you want. And having like a cheap 1-mana spell that you can cast that will anyway just end up back in your hand is great. So Reinforced Ronin, absolute must-have in my opinion in this if you're trying to go Samurai Tribal. So full play set of the Ronin. Then we've got some removal. I'm running 3 copies of March of Otherworldly Light, 3 Fateful Absences, and 2 Rip Aparts. If you're trying to copy at least some of the success of the other top deck in the format, which is Boros Burn, they have 12 removal spells. There's 4 Play with Fires, 4 Royal Eruptions, and 4 Brutal Cathars. So I don't have quite as much, but I wanted at least 3 different cards that can act as removal. So we've gone with those. Then continuing with the Samurais, we've got our second Samurai in the sort of trying to piece together this puzzle that is the Samurai Tribal. I think Eiganjo Exemplar makes perfect sense. There isn't really any better other 2-drop that you would want to be playing, and the effect that this gives is quite lovely. A +1/+1 is nothing to scoff at. So whenever a Samurai warrior you control attacks alone, it gets +1/+1. So even if you just play it out on curve, you turn 1, swing in for 2 with the Ronin, bounces back to your hand. Turn 2, play the Eiganjo Exemplar. Turn 3, you play out like your Risona, for example, swing in for 4 with haste on turn 3. Very, very nice. But then we've also got a full playset of the Selfless Samurai, which is fundamental to the deck. And this is the one that I thought, if there was going to be any of these samurais that actually ended up in other decks and not specifically in Samurai Tribal, then this would be the one, because it's very reminiscent of the Selfless Savior that we used to have in Standard before the last rotation. You get to sacrifice it and give another creature you control indestructible, but it's also, whenever a Samurai Warrior you control attacks alone, against lifelink and end of turn. So when the deck actually pops off and things are rolling, I often end a match on upwards of 30 life because of this card. So really, really crucial as a way of protecting your creatures from sweepers, gaining life. There's just so many good reasons and why you definitely need to be running a full playset of this card if you're trying to build Samurai Tribal. Then we've got one copy, sneaky one-offs. There's a couple of them. I've got one Wandering Emperor and one Eiganjo Uprising. This one's a weird one, but it's a type of thing that you hold back until you're certain you're going to win after you cast it, because you create X 2/2 white samurai creature tokens with vigilance, and they gain menace until end of turn, and each opponent creates X -1 2/2 white samurai, so they'll always get one less than you. So you know, but based on the board state, like I said, you'll know when you can cast this and win the game. You'll just have more attackers with menace than they have blockers, on top of everything else that you have on the board, and that should win you the game. Then we've got, very important other piece of the puzzle, in my opinion, Imperial Subduer. Very unassuming at first glance, but whenever a Samurai Warrior you control attacks alone, you tap target creature you don't control. So, especially if we got the sort of double attack steps that Raiyuu will afford us, which we'll get to in a second, then, you know, every time you attack with your one samurai that's attacking alone, you can tap down one of the opponent's blockers. So, you know, sometimes even if they have multiple chump blockers, you can still continue to get through for damage, which is what we're, of course, trying to do. Then we've got a couple copies of Angelfire Ignition, which is amazing. The trample is obviously amazing with this card. Once you've got a couple of Showdown of the Skalds rolling potentially, or even just the one on chapter 2 or chapter 3, and then you cast an Angelfire Ignition onto whichever one of your samurais you want to have attacking alone. You're putting the +1/+1 counter from the Showdown plus the 2 from the Angelfire Ignition, and you know the trample is amazing. The life gain, one of my favorite cards from Midnight Hunt, and one that I'm very glad is sticking around after rotation. We're definitely going to continue to play with this card as much as possible. Then we've got 3 copies of Risona, the Asari Commander. Legendary. It's the only problem I have with this card, really. 3 mana, 3/3 haste is fine, and unfortunately, though, it's legendary, so you can't have multiple copies on board, like, you know, the other Boros Burn that is a huge problem right now in the format. You'd be running the Sunrise Cavalier, which you know can also grow because of the day-night cycle, and isn't legendary, and comes on board with trample. So I wish that the Sunrise Cavalier was a warrior or samurai, but it's unfortunately a human knight. So going with Risona instead. The cool thing is it does gain indestructible if it gets through for combat damage to a player. However, we also lose that indestructible counter if we take damage on the swing back. So it's just something to keep note of, but a nice little hasty 3-drop. Then we've got a sneaky one of Wandering Emperor, which also poops out samurais, which is great, and of course is a great additional bit of removal alongside the aforementioned ones, and can also just be used to grow some creatures bigger. Then, crucial key card in the deck, Raiyuu, Storm's Edge. 4 mana, 3/3 with Burst Strike, and whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, you untap it, and if it's the first combat phase of the turn, there's an additional combat phase after this phase. So you get 2 combat phases, which is just freaking amazing. And then Showdown of the Skalds, you know, while it's still in Standard, I'm going to play it as much as I possibly can. Definitely one of the cards that I'm going to miss once it rotates, unlike, you know, something like Wandering Emperor, I beg your pardon, Goldspan Dragon or Luminarch Aspirant, which I just can't wait to see the back end of. Showdown of the Skalds, I'm definitely going to miss. Those of you who've been following me for a long while will know that this is definitely one of my favorite cards in one of my favorite color combinations. So it's finally back, and for what might be the last time we get to play it before rotation. And that's the deck. As far as the mana base goes, we've got 1 Cave, 2 Dens, 2 Eiganjos, 1 Sokenzan, and then 2 Field of Runes. The rest are just duels and basics, as always. Samurai Jack. Oro Samurais. Let's jump into some games. Boop, 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 boop. Been having some real strange situations with mono black. Like, I've even upped the mana base to 25, and like the vast majority of my matches I get stuck on 3 lands, and I can just when I used to be winning a lot with that deck about a month ago when I put out the video, I just can't seem to get a win in edgewise with mono black right now. May need to readjust my mana base or something. Alright, not a terrible opening hand. It's a pity we're on the draw. But we can go turn 1 Ronin, turn 2 play out a Samurai. It's not terrible. And we've got some Showdown action to draw some cards. Let's see if we can squeeze a win out. Oh, cute. Little kitties. This I can't wait to see leave. Let's see if he kills my Samurai or makes a treasure. Sweet. It's actually about as good as it can possibly get with the Shambling Ghast. You know, now he doesn't have something to Deadly Dispute. Oh, Orzhov, huh? Nice that he mulliganed. If he goes for the Vanishing Verse or the Infernal Grasp, we can then Selfless Samurai and attack with the Ronin. This is almost certainly Doomscar. Get a second Ronin down, and we can protect one of the 2 from a sweeper. Okay. We're gonna discard the Ronin during their turn. Deadly Dispute. Ah, God, they always have it. Bunch of wieners. Nice. Very nice. go with the red or the white? Yeah, have a good look. Raiyuu is great. Should have Wandering Emperor though. I played this land instead of one of these two because he's playing a lot of these like discard effects. Opponent. Opponent. I guess he was really excited to cast the Wandering Emperor. I'm worried about Meatuk Massacre at this point. Meatuk Massacre would be a disaster. Talking about cheap cantrips. $37 life? Now we're outside of the Meatuk Massacre range, and it's not Vanishing Verse a bull. Oh, you bugger. You absolute bugger.
You really want to fight me? It was going to die eventually anyway. Whatever. I have more important things to do.
Ah, the one thing. So disappointing. It was so close. Okay. guess the one thing that could win us the match now is another copy of the Angelfire Ignition. Let's see if there's a Wandering Emperor. Deadly Dispute would be so annoying. Ugh. 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 Of course, man. Every time they have it. What are the chances, man? What are the chances of that? You absolute asshole. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Top deck's a Deadly Dispute with a Shambling Ghast on the board. Oh, crying out loud. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I almost just don't even know what to say right now. For God's sakes. Oh.
If I won't be given a second chance, I'll make my own.
If we just draw a removal spell, we win though.
Let's go digging.
Can you believe it? Can you actually believe it, man? Can you believe it?
You'll learn the power of death.
Oh my god, I just want to concede. Oh, this drives me insane. Freaking, he was on 2 life, man. Oh, no, it's just... There's almost no way to turn this around. Oh, what a pity. We're so screwed. There's really nothing I can do. Oh, okay. 4. I guess. I mean, he's got enough blockers. You need 2. I think you're screwed. He doesn't realize he's got the Hive of the Eye Tyrant. But now it's too late. We got him. Oh, that's amazing. Mwah. I used to crap on this card during spoiler season. I was like, oh, this is a stupid card. There's something to it. And it also works really nicely in like your Jetmir decks. Very nice. Oh, so glad we made it out of that one. Otherwise, it was just going to be a slugfest because I'm on 40 life. It would have just taken forever for him to kill us. Whew. Phew. Amazing, amazing. On to the next one. Hopefully a little more of a creature deck, a little less of a control deck. Still got to show off a few of the play lines and interactions quite nicely there. And I like that the majority of like our important threats were Banishing Burst proof there. And we managed to survive through a Doomscar. There was a high chance that he would have had a Meatuk Massacre as well though, so quite lucky I think. Everything considered. Let's top deck a land, please. Get that out of the way. Rule enchantments. Cool, cool, cool. Totally fine with me. It's like once you get 2 creatures on board with the Selfless Samurai, then things are a little bit better. You just get another land now, we're off to the races. Okay, we can exile you. Phew, no Snakeskin Veil. Better to get in for more damage rather than just attacking with the 1 and gaining some life while we're ahead. Okay. Big score. Dark Chanook. So maybe some sweeper action in the form of burn down the house. Okay, let's get the Selfless down first before playing Raiyuu. Maybe he's got instant speed removal. Okay. Tap that down. Oh. Fine, 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 fine. second Thundering Rebuke, back to back. It's getting tight. Jaxus, huh? Bye. Oof. That's game. Yes, baby. Woo. Another close one. But, you know, to the point where it's just because you feel like you might be slipping behind a little bit on card advantage and things. But in terms of life total, both matches have been extremely good. A little bit of removal, timely removal, just when you need it. Nothing quite like it. We have drawn our Eiganjo Uprising twice now, but we still haven't drawn our one of Wandering Emperor. Let's put something here. Hello? Not that I really care. No. Alright, how are we doing for time? Probably going to be the last match of the night, so let's try and end on a win. It's weird that Samurais just don't see any play, like not at all. I don't think it's that terrible, like it's a pretty decent brew. I mean, I even won a few matches in ranked with it yesterday. I think I don't know, I mean, you just never ever see it, do you? Okay, we just need a little bit more land, but otherwise it's a fantastic hand. Maybe we'll draw one now. Perfect! Selesnya could mean a lot of bad news for us though. Life gainy type shenanigans. Tap land, tap land, tap land. Oh. Virtuoso deck. You go conniving now, you get a 2/2. Mine's indestructible, so. This card, man. So strong. It's gonna March of Otherworldly Light. Deep thoughts from the opponent. Very deep thoughts. I think we just have to do this. Because I get the sneaking suspicion there's some Blizzard brawls. Mr. Valdray. Of all things. We're on 30 life though, which is quite lovely. And then if he does choose to attack, we don't block, we play out the Subduer. Tap down whatever he's got left standing. I knew it. I knew it. Caramba. Please attack with both, though. Please attack with both. Oh. Okay. This is a very, very important decision now. Get in for 2. Potentially. Or... oof. Yeah, well, it's worth a try. He's got something. And we just lost the game. 7-14. Okay, 60. Yeah, that's game. This card, guys, I keep telling you, it's too strong. I don't know what to do to beat it. I lose to Illuminator Virtuoso 90% of the time that I play. So if we block this, we only, yeah, we lose, just regardless of anything. It's so strong. I don't know what to do to beat it. Every single time I lose to this card. Ooh, so powerful. So ridiculous. Alright, well, that's going to have to be it for tonight's gameplay footage. A pity we didn't manage to squeeze out a victory there on the final match. But a couple of really nice ones in the beginning. Able to sort of pull it back from the brink a couple of times. Eiganjo Uprising, definitely, wow, clutch in that first game. Wandering Emperor never quite came to play. I'm thinking if I had to make any adjustments, I would maybe cut one Risona and go up another Angelfire Ignition or something like that. Because it's really just, wow, it was so important in that second game. But yeah, Illuminator Virtuoso, I can't seem to win. I always lose to that card every freaking game, be it the Azorius version or the Selesnya version. It just always seems to beat me, and I think come rotation, it's gonna, it's sticking around. Probably gonna replace Luminarch Aspirant in a lot of these mono white aggro decks, or white X decks, and I honestly just still cannot believe that a deck with Illuminator Virtuoso isn't in the top 3 decks as far as Untapped or any of the other metadata collecting websites are concerned. It's so freaking good. But yeah, that's gonna be it for tonight's gameplay footage. As always, thank you so much for watching. I've recently just hit 750 subscribers, which is just blowing me away. Even though the content has been a little bit more janky and a little less consistent, people still coming over and subscribing to the BrewLab really means the world to me. So thank you. Welcome to all the new subscribers. We're halfway to the next milestone, which is going to be a nice big giveaway. So don't forget to share this around to all your friends. Let's get to 800 ASAP. I will see you all the day after tomorrow with fresh brew. And until then, this is Lone Fox from the BrewLab signing out. Peace, y'all.